Hi everyone, Lisa here. Thanks for joining me today. So I have a lot to share with you, starting with these adorable hippos having fun in the sun. Now these are from Whimsy Stamp's new release, available today. And I have a tip on creating backgrounds with one DIY stencil. Now these hippos are so cute. I'm going to get us started by stamping them onto 80-pound cardstock using Memento Tuxedo black ink. And I always stamp my images 2 or 3 times, just making sure those lines are dark and crisp. And the first thing I'm going to do after stamping these cuties, I'm going to run them through my scan and cut. So now that I have the images cut out, I'm going to place a piece of repositionable adhesive to the back of each image and place them on a piece of cardstock. Now, let me tell you why I do this, because I spent hours coloring images only to run them through the scan and cut and have them messed up. And from that point on, I almost always cut my images out first, because stamping the images again rather than stamping and coloring them again sounds like a far better option to me. Now, of course, there are those times that I flying by the seat of my pants, I change my mind after I have the images colored, and then I decide to run them back through. Now that I have the images secure, I'm ready to start coloring them. I'm using Copic markers, but you can use any coloring medium you have, whatever you're more comfortable with. Now I went ahead and I picked the colors I'm using, and I'm really only using a handful of colors for this. I'm getting started with N0 to lay down a layer of ink and wet the paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and color a little bit of R01 here on her little snout there. I also want to continue with that N0, and then we're going to use N4 as my darkest shade, and then I'm going to follow that with N2 to do some blending, and N0 for my final blend. I do add a little bit of that R01 to the ears and the snout area. So next I'm working on the bathing suits. I'm going to start with R27 here to fill in this whole area, and then R59 to start adding shading there around the edges, and then I'm going to blend that out with R29. I'm actually going to come in with the black 100 and darken up these areas a little bit more, and then I'll blend that out with R59. I'm going to color her bow with R29 and a little bit of the black 100 and R59. Now for the dog, I'm going to start with E31 and completely color him in. And then I'm going to bring in E35 to add shading, and then I'll blend that out with E33, and then that's going to finish this image off. So the other images are colored the same way, using that N0, N2, and N4 on the hippos. To save time, I'm not going to show me coloring those, but I do want to share a few other things with you real quick. Now, this one image here that I'm about to show you, I started with E31 to fill in that sand area completely, and then came in with E33 and then started adding the tiniest specks of color. So I continue adding those tiny specks with E35, E37, and E49. It is a whole lot of dot, 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 but I really like the way it turned out. So a few things I paid attention to while I was doing this. Relax your grip a little bit. Hold the marker as straight up and down as you can. Don't worry if some specks are larger than the others. And my last tip is to take your time and enjoy the process. I didn't even realize it until I had finished coloring this, but I had completely zoned out, or as some might say, I was getting into my flow. So while doing this, I actually was really relaxed afterwards. I couldn't believe how just mellow I felt. So enjoy it. So the buckets are R29 and R59 with a little bit of the black 100. Now I colored the shovels with BG13, BG15, and BG18, and then I came in with my polychromos to darken up a few areas, because I find it a little bit easier to get into those tight areas with a pencil. Okay, I have a piece of masking paper that I've run through my die cut machine with a 4¼ by 5½ inch rectangle die, and then I followed that with the 3½ inch round die cut out there. So I went ahead and I placed that masking paper on a card base, and I'm going to create a scene. So all I did was take a piece of acetate and ran it through my die cut machine with a wavy stencil or wavy die, sorry about that, and created this stencil. Now this technique is not new. It's been around for a long time. So it's super simple though, and it makes amazing scenes. So what I did was I came in with that acetate and Memento ink in the color Desert Sand. I applied light layers of ink there, and I just really hit those lines close to the acetate. I really intensified that color right along those lines. And I just start out with the heavy pressure as I come off the acetate, and then I lighten the pressure as I move away from it. Okay, so then I would just twist that acetate, and then I came in with the rich cocoa ink and I just pounced that up and down until I filled in the areas. Again, I came in with Copics. That's the great thing about using those Memento inks. And I added those tiny specks with E33, E35, E37, and E49. We added a little bit of mounting foam to that cutie and added him to the card. Also, we did do a sky there, and I used the Memento Summer Sky ink to do that sky. Okay, so now that we're getting caught back up, I have the masking paper laid down. I have my acetate, and I'm using nautical blue ink from Memento. And I'm just going to create some waves here on this card. I'm doing the same technique as I did with the first in that sand. I'm just layering or applying the ink, twisting the acetate, and then applying more ink. So here's the Puddles Stencil from Whimsy. I love this stencil. I'm going to come in with that nautical blue, fill in some of the areas, leaving the tops of some of the areas lighter. And I'm going to come in with Summer Sky and go ahead and add some of that too. Go back in with that nautical blue to darken up some of those lower areas there. And we're going to add mounting foam to the back of this cutie and go ahead and place him on this card. So last card here. I went ahead and placed that masking paper on a card base. I have the acetate here, and I'm going to start with the Desert Sand ink to create a sand area. And again, I'm just laying down some ink. I twist the acetate back and forth each time I want to add a new layer, and then lay down more ink. Now, one thing I did different with this one is I come back in with that rich cocoa and I start adding some of that to the top areas of those sand hills. Not on all of them, just on some of them. Again, I come in with the Summer Sky ink to create this sky. These backgrounds are so simple and they're neat. Okay, so mounting foam on the back of this last hippo, and I did add that extra little sand bucket that I had colored to this card. So the last thing I'm going to do is place these in my Misty, stamp the sentiments using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of new content to the channel. Please feel free to share this video with your crafty friends. For more information about the products used, head over to Whimsy Stamps website, and I hope you have an amazing day.